Yo, what is up? My name is Warren E. Freeman Jr. I'm here with Warren's Vlog, episode 53. And it's been a long time since I reviewed an old WWE pay per view, but today I decided to watch the Royal Rumble 2002. And in the background is the theme song for that said event, Cocky by Kid Rock, which was edited off of the WWE network, which I'm not happy about because that's personally one of my favorite video packages that the WWE has done for anything. And this song is probably one of my favorite songs for a WWF or E pay per view event. Kid Rock by or Cocky by Kid Rock. But anyway, Royal Rumble 2002. I'm going to start reviewing Royal Rumbles now because we're in that season. We're in the Royal Rumble season, which means we're in the WrestleMania season. So it's going to be very exciting coming up. As I said, I watched Rumble 2002. Since it's been a while since I've reviewed an old show, I want to explain how this works. If you guys watch my videos, you should know how I do it. I just review a match, one being the worst. If it's below a one, you'll get a point 0.5 or point 0.3 or whatever. If it's that bad, which some have been that bad, Hogan and Yokozuna from WrestleMania 9 is one. Five being the greatest one, or being the worst. So we kick off the show with the Dudley Boys facing Taz and Spike. Taz and Spike defending the tag titles against the Dudley Boys. Little trivia here for you guys for the Dudley Boys. Every Rumble event that the Dudley Boys have competed in, they have been in a tag match or a tag title match, and I just realized that by watching this Rumble today. 2000 was their first Rumble. They were in a tag team title match against the Hardys, which they lost. The Dudleys won the tag titles from Edge and Christian at the Royal Rumble 2001. Today's event, Taz and Spike beat them and retained the titles. I'll explain that in a second. 2003, they wrestled Lance Storm and Christian. I don't believe they won. I want to say they lost there too. Um, '04, they got squashed by Batista and Ric Flair. Well, Batista, Flair was just kind of there, but that was a tag team table match. And that was the Dudley's career at the Royal Rumble. Of course, Bubba Ray was in a Rumble maybe like 2 years ago. But yeah, that's pretty much how the Dudleys are at the Royal Rumble. The record's not that great, but at this event they lost to Taz and Spike. Taz was taken out earlier on in the match with a 3DB, which I believe that's what they call it. It's where it's not the 3D with the flapjack cutter combination. It's Bubba Ray or Devon giving the back suplex and the other guy catching him with a neck breaker. I believe they called that the 3DB, and they took out Taz early. Spike, being the smaller guy, took most of the heat. Uh, got the Dudley dog in. Taz came back, suplexed everybody. Well, Bubba Ray and Devon. Actually hooked the Taz mission on Stacy Keebler, which you got to remember that type of stuff was common back then. This is 2002, so man on woman violence was kind of common. So Taz got the Taz mission on Stacy. That led to a distraction. Um, Devon broke it up, got the Taz mission. Devon tapped out. Taz and Spike retained the tag titles. Woo. I gave that a 2.5. It was quick. It was just kind of there. The face team, Taz and Spike went over, so the crowd was hot for that. Gave that a 2.5. Um, write my notes down. Yeah, I covered everything I wrote in my notes. Oh, one thing I didn't cover. Uh, Spike Dudley got the Dudley dog on Bubba Ray, and that was used as a double down spot, and that confused me because I was under the assumption that the Dudley dog was a finishing maneuver. So why that's used as a double down spot kind of confused me. But nonetheless, gave it a 2.5. Moving on to Edge versus William Regal. This match was actually really good, I thought, minus the finish. I gave this a 3.2. I kind of thought it was weird that Nick Patrick, the referee, went into Regal's tights, like really dug up in there. Like it was a little uncomfortable. And I know this is around the time Regal was doing the whole brass knuckles power to punch gimmick for that. Regal hit a knee trembler at the beginning of the match, and maybe it's just because I haven't watched. I mean, I've been watching wrestling all this time, but I forget certain things. But up to recently, when Regal was wrestling, a knee trembler was a finishing maneuver. But I guess they were really trying to establish this power to punch thing at this time. The thing with Regal and Edge both is they're both great wrestlers, and this was a great wrestling match from a technical standpoint. The only problem I had with it was the finish, and it wasn't so much the fact that Regal used the brass knucks. Now, listen to me closely. It was the way that it was kind of set up. Like, Edge was setting up for a spear. And Nick Patrick moved himself into position to get speared instead of Regal actually. It looked too like I don't I just didn't like how it just looked bad. Like the referee is supposed to be manipulated by the heel wrestler. The referee put himself in the position for the spear, and so the referee's down. You know, Regal goes in his tights with the left hand, pulls out the brass knucks, hits Edge with it, and then Regal covers Edge for the 1, 2, 3 to win the Intercontinental title. And it was just kind of like, again, the brass knuckles didn't bother me because I know that's what they were trying to put over at this time with Regal's gimmick with the brass knucks. It's just the way that it was kind of set up. I did not like. But despite that, I still gave it a 3.2 because it was a well-paced match. Uh, Edge, I think, especially Regal, is definitely underrated. He's probably one of the most underrated wrestlers that I could think of right now. Is William Regal. Yeah, so I gave that a 3.2. It was a very good match, minus the finish. Moving on to Jazz versus Trish. Trish defending the women's title against Jazz with Jacqueline as the referee. Assigned by Ric Flair, who is the co-owner of the company, which I'll explain that in the next match. Why Ric Flair is the co-owner. I'm going to explain that in the next match. But Jacqueline was the referee. Really, and the thing with this is, it was, I think JR or King mentioned it on commentary that I guess Jazz beat Jacqueline on Raw to get a shot at Trish for the women's title. And then on SmackDown, they showed how Jazz had smashed Trish's fingers into the one of those amble cases where you put equipment in. But Jacqueline absolutely served no purpose being in this match as the referee at all. She had no, like, it just, that kind of bothered me. See, a special referee, which is like a wrestler, or is supposed to serve some sort of a purpose. And Jacqueline served no purpose whatsoever. That bothered me. Trish Stratus hit the Stratus faction in this match, which is a bulldog. Jump off the bulldog, what she did. She would springboard off the ropes and hit a bulldog. Jazz not only no-sold it, she got hit with the bulldog, countered, and then pinned Trish immediately. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. How do you not sell Trish's finish and then pin her immediately? I think Trish actually got the bulldog cover, lateral press, and then it was immediate reversal of the lateral press. And then, Jazz got the cover on Trish with kick out at 2. That confused me. Then, now Trish ends up winning this match. When Trish ends up winning this match, we'll see what happens. Jazz is in the corner. Trish charges at her. Or excuse me, that's reverse. Jazz charges at Trish. Trish counters with a boot. Hits a regular bulldog. Now, not the Stratus faction. A regular bulldog. And pins Jazz with a 3 count. I was so confused watching this. I'm like, so sell Trish's finish, but then you lose to a regular bulldog. And then what even made me even more irritated is that the commentator, JR and King, put over the regular bulldog as the Stratus faction. Like, it just did not make sense to me at all. Nothing about that match made sense. Trish got her ass whooped the entire time by Jazz. The entire time, unmercifully. And then a bulldog and 1, 2, 3. It just, I didn't get it. I gave that match a 2. Yeah, that's what that match was. That's pretty much it. Now, Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair. I gotta explain this one because this is the reason why this match happened. Okay, so you guys remember the horrible invasion storyline angle, right? Where it's Team WWF versus Team Alliance, and WWF goes over because, of course, WWF goes over. That happened at Survivor Series 2001. The very next night on Raw, Vince McMahon is about to, award the WWF title at the time to Kurt Angle, because that was Vince's way of stripping Austin of the title. Out comes, Ric Flair. Ric Flair announces that Shane and Stephanie sold their stock to him, and now he is half owner of the WWF. This pisses Vince McMahon off, obviously, having to share his company with Ric Flair. So, over the next couple months leading up to the Rumble, they have words, they battle. They both get involved in the Undisputed Championship match. with Chris Jericho and Stone Cold, which I'm going to explain that situation later. I'm going to get to Jericho and Rock in a minute, but Vince McMahon and Ric Flair got involved in the decision to have Jericho become the Undisputed Champion, which I'm going to bitch about later. So they had that going. They had words on Raw and SmackDown. It even got physical on Raw and SmackDown. And Vince McMahon attacked Ric Flair with a lead pipe in Madison Square Garden, of all places. Flair's all bleeding. Vince McMahon jumps on Ric Flair's robe. Just the classic stuff that Vince would do, or any heel would do to get under the skin of a face. So it's decided, okay, they're going to have a street fight at the Royal Rumble. This was normally supposed to be a regular match, but Ric Flair took his power as co-owner and made it a street fight. So we're at the Royal Rumble. It's Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair in a street fight. And for a McMahon match, I must say this is probably one of his better ones because it wasn't interference. And usually in any McMahon match, be that Shane, Stephanie, or Vince, there's always some sort of gimmick. There's always some sort of interference. And in this match, there was no interference whatsoever. It was really just two old dudes slowly moving around the ring and beating the shit out of each other. It's the only way I could describe it. I wrote some notes down. And the only thing I really wrote down is I put that Vince McMahon is not a good wrestler, but he's good at what he does. And he is. You can't deny that. Vince's facial expressions, Vince's his mannerisms, just the little things that Vince does, like even taking a camera from Ric Flair's children that were in the crowd and taking a picture of it, of the assault, of Ric Flair's bloody face. All of that was just perfect. Knowing that Vince McMahon cannot wrestle a lick, but damn, this match was kind of good. I don't know why it was. It was. They both bled. Ric Flair once he got the upper hand, he grabbed a camera and took a selfie. I guess selfie wasn't really a term in 2002, but that's what it was. He took a picture of himself, Ric Flair, actually biting Vince McMahon. That was a little gruesome. There was a lead pipe used. There was a sign used. There was the announce table used. There was the monitor used, this was actually kind of funny. Ric Flair took the monitor and bashed Vince McMahon in the head, and then was looking at the monitor like, "Let me say it! Let me say it!" That was kind of funny. Of course, the lead pipe was like the big weapon in their angle here. So when Vince McMahon went for the lead pipe, Ric Flair hit a low blow, and then that's when Flair took over with the picture taking and the monitor and the biting and all that. But the match ends with Ric Flair grabbing a lead pipe, whacking Vince McMahon in the head with it. And then this is where I was kind of like, okay, wait. I know that you want the figure four, that's his finishing move, to be the move that you end the match with. But Vince McMahon was out from the lead pipe. So putting the figure four on Vince at that point was kind of like overkill. I mean, he could have just pinned him after that. You know, that was the only issue I had. Of course, Vince has to do the figure four to Rick because why not? He's Vince McMahon, and he wants to embarrass Ric Flair. One thing about this match that kind of irritated me was Jerry Lawler. I mean, it did not so much irritating as just like unnecessary. His commentary was very like, he was so enthralled with the fact that Vince McMahon was turned on by, because one of the quotes that Vince said in the video package was, "I enjoy destroying lives. It turns me on, especially an icon like Ric Flair." That was in the video package. That was one of Vince's quotes. That was his interview with Jim Ross. And like King just kept repeating it. He's like, "Hey, you know what Vince is right now, JR? He's turned on." It's like, and he just kept saying that throughout the entire match. I'm like, King, okay, we get it. Now just let JR call the match. Outside of that, the match was it wasn't like a 5-star classic. It wasn't like one of those classic Royal Rumble matches by any stretch of it, and by any means. But it was what it needed to be. You know, Vince McMahon is limited in what he can do in the ring, but he makes up for it with his mannerisms and his facial expressions and just his character. Ric Flair is the actual wrestler of the match, so he was able to carry it well, I thought. So out of 5, I gave that a 3. It entertained me, not from a wrestling standpoint, but just from a sheer entertainment standpoint. It entertained me. You can agree or disagree. It's my rating. It's my video. I gave it a 3. Okay, The Rock versus Chris Jericho for the Undisputed Championship. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that Vince McMahon and Ric Flair were influential in Chris Jericho winning the Undisputed Championship. Ric Flair maybe inadvertently. But I talked about the angle. I talked about the invasion angle that failed. Anyway, Survivor Series. Survivor Series, we have two champions afterwards. Because the Vince McMahon wasn't able to strip Austin of the WWF title because Ric Flair came back and then Austin came back and that got botched in a manner of speaking. So we go into Vengeance. This is a month prior to the Royal Rumble. We have Austin as the WWF champion. We have The Rock as the WCW, which has now been, which at this time was called the World Champion because WCW was dead. So instead of having Rock and Austin face off, because that would make sense, no, Austin faces Angle for the WWF title. Rock versus Chris Jericho for the world title. Austin beats Angle. Jericho cheats to beat Rock. Jericho then cheats to beat Austin. Okay? Now, here's the thing. You're establishing your first undisputed champion in Chris Jericho. And, oh man. And the thing is, Jericho is such a great wrestler, but just the way that Jericho was booked was just horrible. I mean, I mentioned Vince McMahon being influential in Jericho beating Austin, which does make sense because the whole Austin McMahon feud, whatever. That makes sense and all. But, and I could even buy that. Okay, so he cheated against The Rock, he cheated against Austin. Okay, cool. He's one of those type of heels. But the entirety of Jericho's title reign, his first one, that is what he did. It just, to me, it just made him look bad. It didn't give him any credibility as the first undisputed champion because it seemed like every title defense that he had, he won underhandedly. It was some sort of fuckery involved in it. And as a younger, I was maybe what, 14 at the time, I hated Chris Jericho. But as an adult, of course, I'm an adult now, so I understand the business a little bit more than I did then. But even watching this back now and just looking back at Jericho's title reign, I'm not gonna take that serious. You know what I'm saying? So we get to the Royal Rumble. Rock beats Booker T on an episode of SmackDown to become the number one contender. So Rock's the number one contender. Okay, we'll go to the Rumble. What did I write down here? Okay, I basically wrote down every. I don't know if you want to call it gimmick but we'll just call it every way that Jericho cheated to win this matchup. And so here goes. Jericho wins. He retains the title. But he did it with an exposed buckle, Lance Storm, Christian, who both interfered, a belt shot, Nick Patrick, which I don't know where that came from, because I know Nick Patrick was the alliance official in the invasion angle, but Nick Patrick refused to count. A low blow. The buckle was actually exposed earlier, but in this sequence, okay, the match ended with, of course, Nick Patrick getting rock bottom, which you can argue that was Rock's fault for taking out the only referee there was at the time, because Earl Hebner, the referee assigned to the match, got taken out. So Earl Hebner's down, Nick Patrick got rock bottom. That sequence was a low blow, an exposed buckle, a roll up, the tights, and his foot and Jericho's feet on the ropes. I mean, damn. Like, how do you establish Chris Jericho as your undisputed champion, as a credible champion, when you book him like shit? I mean, and again, I gave this match a 3. You have two credible guys here who can work, who have worked before. I think their match at No Mercy 2001 was better, but whatever. This match was good. It was a great match. Rock got his shit in, obviously, because he's The Rock. The sharpshooter, he had Jericho tapping out, but that's what started with the fuckery with with Christian and Lance Storm interfering. The rock bottom to the table looked good because it was a rock bottom from the Spanish table to the to JR and King's table. That looked great, actually. Jerry Lawler got off the line. That made me chuckle because despite how Jerry Lawler can be annoying sometimes, he can still make me laugh. After the rock bottom, King goes, JR, are you okay? It doesn't matter if you're okay. It's cheesy as hell, but this is the King we're dealing with here. The match itself was fine. The match itself was solid. That's why I gave it a 3. But I can't rank it any higher because of all the fuckery involved and the fact that it made Jericho look like a joke. It did. Um, and like I said, this was Jericho's title reign from December to March. I mean, throughout the entirety of his reign, every title defense that he had, any major title defense that he had, he cheated to win. And I mean, now if I ever review WrestleMania 18, I'll go into this fuckery more in detail. But I mean, shit, WrestleMania 18, the main event there was Triple H and Stephanie, pretty much. Not only was Jericho on the back burner, but the Undisputed Championship itself was on the back burner. But I'm not even going to begin to rant about that. If I ever review WrestleMania 18, which I'm sure I will at some point, I will continue my rant about that. But, like I said, Rock and Jericho, Royal Rumble 2002, it was a solid match, but all the fuckery, I can't get past. But I still gave it a 3 because it was a solid match. Okay, so now, we go to the Royal Rumble match itself. And I have some notes here. Well, let me start here. I have notes everywhere, bear with me. This Royal Rumble match, I don't want to say introduced, but brought back 4 WWF at the time superstars: Val Venis, Godfather, Mr. Perfect, and Goldust. Now, wow, I cannot talk right now, but from what I can remember, out of those 4 men, well, neither of them did anything of any significance that year, other than to enter the Royal Rumble. Goldust went on to a program with RVD at No Way Out, and then he wrestled Maven for the Hardcore title at WrestleMania 18. Mr. Perfect really didn't do anything. God rest his soul. He has passed on. Godfather and Val Venis just basically stayed in the lower mid card, and that was it. Well, Val Venis would eventually become Chief Morley in 2003. But my point is, for whatever reason, these 4 men were really hyped up to return in the Royal Rumble, and it just gave me the impression, even back then when I was little, that wow, these four guys are coming back. They're probably going to do something, and then they didn't, and it's kind of disheartening. But anyway, Royal Rumble time. Goldust came out as number 2, and that's the only number I could keep track of because, for whatever reason, the video production at that time did not have the numbers for each person that came out. So the only one I was able to catch was Goldust, which is number 2, and Booker T, which is number 30, which I'll get to later. So the first thing I'm going to talk about this Royal Rumble match is the destruction of The Undertaker. And this, for me, personally, is one of my favorite Royal Rumble moments of all time. Because The Undertaker comes out and goes batshit crazy and starts killing people, quite honestly. So, and I did write this down because I wanted to focus on certain people in the Royal Rumble match that had a good showing. And I'm going to focus first on The Undertaker. So The Undertaker came out to Limp Bizkit's Rolling, which is still kind of cool to me. I know Limp Bizkit isn't relevant anymore, but that's still probably one of my favorite WWF themes that somebody can come out to. So Undertaker comes out on his motorcycle, gets in the ring, chokeslams Goldust. Well, he actually chokeslams Goldust over the top rope, so that's how Goldust gets eliminated. Takes out Al Snow, takes out Rikishi, which is important because the commentators the entire time, mostly King, well, JR too. Oh, because Rikishi was number 1, Goldust number 2. The entire time the commentator was like, oh, well, Rikishi, his girth is going to prevent him going over the top rope, and oh my God, JR, who's going to throw Rikishi over the top rope? Rikishi did it or Undertaker did it with a clothesline. So I mentioned Goldust, Al Snow, Rikishi, Billy Gunn, and then The Undertaker kind of just shows in the ring. And now this kind of, it was at this moment that my bullshit alarm went off, okay? Because, well, not at this moment. The following entrant is when my bullshit alarm went off. So Matt Hardy comes out, okay, and I'm going to explain this. The ring was empty. It took out everyone that I mentioned. Matt Hardy comes out, and he's in the Royal Rumble match accompanied with Lita. Okay. Now, sidebar. Undertaker took out all the Hardy Boys, including Lita, a month prior. Undertaker won the hardcore title. Undertaker won the hardcore championship from RVD at Vengeance. This was in the middle of his weird but really funny heel turn. He beats RVD for the hardcore title. Then he wrestles Jeff Hardy on Raw the next night, gives Jeff Hardy a last ride off the stage. So that takes out Jeff. And then Lita was at ringside too. He just decides to just throw Lita off of the stage just because he's the Undertaker. Excuse me. So he gives the last ride to Jeff Hardy off the stage, just tosses Lita off the stage on Raw. Then he wrestles Matt Hardy on SmackDown. Undertaker was doing this thing at the time where he would take a chair and press it up against the guy's throat and slam it onto the mat. He did that and took out Matt Hardy. So the Hardy Boys were out for a month. They come back at the Rumble to get their revenge. Okay? Matt Hardy comes out, wrestles the Undertaker for a little bit. Lita randomly jumps in the ring and starts stomping the Undertaker, which is hilarious to me. But then the clock counts down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we hit and then Jeff Hardy comes out. And this is what I didn't like. Okay, I understood why the Hardys came out consecutively. Okay, I get that. But the whole gimmick that the commentators try to shove down their throat every single year is that it's by random. It's a random drawing. We don't know who's gonna come out. It's random. But that shit's not random. I mean, you have Matt Hardy come out, and then you have Jeff Hardy come out. It's not random at all. Even though I understood why they did it. Okay? So the destruction of The Undertaker continues. Now, of course, the Hardy Boys are going to get their shit in because they need to get their revenge, okay? So the Hardy Boys get their shit in. The Twist of Fate, the Swanton Bomb, the whole them taking a shirt off and all that. They get all that in, okay? Then they go for Poetry in Motion. You know, Matt Hardy on his knees. Jeff does the jump off a mat to the heel kick thing. Undertaker catches Jeff, eliminates Jeff Hardy. Before eliminating Matt, Undertaker decides to give Matt a last ride because Undertaker's a dick. And then he gives Matt Hardy a last ride and he chucks Matt Hardy over the top rope. So then Maven comes out, right? And this is the best part. This is the best part of the entirety of this Royal Rumble match, to me personally, was Maven and The Undertaker. This is the best part to me. So Maven comes out and he starts to fight The Undertaker, right? Now, the Hardy Boys get back in the ring to create a distraction, and they get jumped over again. And then Lita gets on the apron and starts talking shit. Undertaker pie faces Lita. As Undertaker pie faces Lita, Maven delivers a drop kick to The Undertaker's back, and Undertaker gets eliminated. And to Jim Ross's credit, to King's credit, they put this over as if it was one of the biggest things in Royal Rumble history, and the biggest upsets in Rumble history, and arguably it was. And JR did a fantastic job on commentary putting it over. So, Undertaker has this look on his face as they're standing there on the outside of the ring, realizing that he's been eliminated. And then the Undertaker gets back in the ring and beats the shit out of Maven. Throws Maven through the ropes, grabs a steel chair, and just in one of the most sickest chair shots, and I've seen some chair shots in my day in the WWEF, and man, Undertaker laid Maven out with that steel chair. It gets worse from here. Scotty 2 Hotty's making his entrance, so Scotty 2 Hotty comes out dancing, and Undertaker chucks Maven back into the ring. He looks at Scotty 2 Hotty dancing, he walks up, punches Scotty 2 Hotty in the face, walks back in the ring, throws Maven over the top rope. Now, no, Undertaker's been eliminated here at this point. So even though Maven went over the top rope, he went over the top rope by someone who is illegal. So technically Maven is still in this match the entire time. So Undertaker throws Maven out, starts beating the shit out of him again, throws him in the crowd, beats him up in the crowd. And it's just... And the thing with Undertaker's character at this point is I'm not exactly sure what they were going for here with this heel turn, because I guess they meant it to be, devastating because he's the Undertaker and he cut his hair short and he just randomly turned heel on JR of all people, but it just turned out to be funny even back then. like back then, I wasn't like afraid. It wasn't like no 1999 ministry shit for the Undertaker. This is 2002, and I really felt like even though he had the American Badass gimmick still, he's just a heel. I just found him to be very, very funny. I don't. That's maybe it's just me. So he starts beating up Maven. They get to the back, and this is what makes me laugh out loud every time I watch this. It always makes me laugh uncontrollably because it's so funny. They're backstage fighting. Meanwhile, Scotty 2 Hotty's laid out on the ramp. Christian makes his entrance, and Christian's just waiting in the ring. So Undertaker has Maven backstage. He rams he rams Maven's head into a popcorn machine. Now Maven is all bloody at this point, right? He rams Maven's head into a popcorn machine. The glass shatters, right? Maven's all laid out. And then the next thing you see is Undertaker going in the popcorn machine and eating the popcorn and spinning the seeds out. And it to me, it is the funniest thing, one of the funniest things I have ever seen to this day. And this is right up there with Undertaker beating the shit out of David Flair. Which, if I ever review WrestleMania 8, I gotta review WrestleMania 18 now because that man, Undertaker's heel turn in 2002. Wow, man. I'm gonna turn some light on because it's like it's starting to get dark in here. Okay, let's get some light. Okay, I got a little bit of light now. You guys can see me more. Because I'm black. That's what happens. Anyway, so on the list of Undertaker's destruction in that Royal Rumble, as I mentioned, Goldust, Al Snow, Rikishi, Billy Gunn, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Maven, the Popcorn Machine, Scotty 2 Hotty. It was crazy. I think Undertaker probably eliminated the most people in the match, but he got eliminated by Maven. All right, so moving on. I mentioned the Worm. I wrote down that I hate the Worm, and I really do. That move to me was dumb back then as a kid, and it's dumb to me now. It's even more dumb now. And that actually led to Scotty 2 Hotty's elimination because he hit the Worm on Christian, and then DDP eliminated him. DDP's elimination did not get shown because of the hose. That's right. Godfather returned in the Royal Rumble. And we didn't get to see DDP's elimination. They replayed it. Well, not we, but I watching it. They replayed it because seeing somebody get eliminated to me is more important than seeing a bunch of hoes. But the hoes were nice. The hoes were nice. But Godfather really didn't do too much in this match except bring out 12 hoes. And he shortly got eliminated. Val Venus was also hyped to return, and he had an interaction with Stone Cold for a while before Triple H came out, and then they did their thing. And then it came down to, it would act like I'm writing it down here. Stone Cold went on a rampage too before Triple H came out. I'm getting ahead of myself, but Stone Cold went on a rampage, eliminating Christian and Chuck Palumbo twice because he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know why he decided to eliminate them twice, but he did. Take out Test and Val Venus. We get Triple H in the ring. They face off. They eliminate Hurricane after Hurricane tried to chokeslam them both. They fight again. Some other people came out. The final four came down to Triple H, Angle, Mr. Perfect, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Booker T was number 30, and well, let me back up. Booker T was number 30. RVD was also like the final 5 or 6. But Triple H got pedigree by RVD, and this is how strong the pedigree is. RVD kind of just laid there after the pedigree, and then Booker T came out, saw RVD was out, and just eliminated RVD. And the commentators put it over as, well, he never recovered from that pedigree. But anyway, so Booker T eliminates RVD, does a spin on Rooney, gets stunnered, and then Booker T kind of just dives over the top rope himself. It was meant for the stunner, the impact of the stunner to take Booker T out, but it just looked bad. Like, he got the stunner, Booker T did one of these, and then he just jumped over the top rope. And Booker T was number 30 here, and out of all the Rumble matches that I've seen, I gotta say that Booker T is number 30 has got to be one of the worst number 30 entrants of all time, in my opinion. Of course, 2011 had 40 people, so I'll just say last entrance, you know. So, Final four: Triple H, Angle, Mr. Perfect, Austin. Um, Austin gets eliminated by Kurt Angle, who is trying to eliminate Mr. Perfect. Austin comes in, levels all of them with a steel chair. Angle, after they recover from the chair shots, Angle hits the perfect plex on that. Mr. Perfect hits the perfect plex on Kurt Angle. Goes for the Henning neck snap. Triple H hits a clothesline on Mr. Perfect, and then it's down to Triple H and Kurt Angle. And it's a couple not near falls, but near misses, or near them almost going over the top rope, Triple H and Kurt Angle. But eventually Triple H gets the advantage, clotheslines Angle over the top rope, and Triple H wins the Royal Rumble. Rumble matches to me are very hard to rate. I've only done one other Royal Rumble event, that was 2014, and I only covered that one because I was there. And I gave that Rumble match a 3. I'm giving this Rumble match a 3. I was entertained by the whole Undertaker Maven stuff, but other than that, this match was just kind of there. The surprise entrances were got people creeping in the blinds and close that since I got the light on. As I mentioned before, Mr. Perfect, Val Venus. I have to look at my notes because I forgot that fast. Goldust and Godfather. Those were the 4 hyped to return. A surprise entrance were the Hardys, but Jeff wasn't really much of a surprise at that point when he showed up. This match was the Rumble match was okay. I gave it a 3. Overall, this event, let me go over them again. Tag title match at the beginning, I gave that a 2.5. That was with Taz and Spike retaining the tag titles. Regal won the Intercontinental title in a well-paced match. This was the highest match on the card for me. I gave it a 3.2. Regal won the Intercontinental title. Jazz and Trish got a 2. Vince McMahon and Ric Flair got a 3. Rock and Jericho got a 3. The Rumble match got a 3. When you average everything up, it comes out to a 2.78. I'm just going to leave it 2.7. 2.78, whatever. Overall, it was below average, but this was a pretty below average event in my opinion. But still enjoyable nonetheless. And that's my review of Royal Rumble 2002. It's looking like this is going to be my last video of the year of 2016. Obviously, with the Royal Rumble coming up, I think January 29th, or whatever the last Sunday is in January 2017 to be when the Rumble is. So you'll have my predictions for me in about 4 weeks, and you'll have a review of that event following the Royal Rumble. And I'm going to open up 2017 with maybe another Royal Rumble review. Maybe I'm thinking I might do 2010 because I was also in Atlanta, as this one was in Atlanta. So I might do a couple more Rumble events to open up 2017. And coming up is my 1-year anniversary of doing this show, which is in February. If you recall, my first video was just me talking about Daniel Bryan's retirement. So in February, I'm probably going to do an anniversary episode, and I might actually just do WrestleMania 30, since that was one of the main highlights, or the main highlight in Daniel Bryan's career. So I'll probably do that in February, and plus that'll work anyway because that's WrestleMania season. So, this is my final video for the year of 2016. I enjoy doing these videos, and I'm going to continue to do them until I get tired of doing them, which I won't. So, I'm signing off for the rest of the year. You won't see me again until 2017. So, you guys have a hell of a year, and I will do the same. And Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, all that shit. And I'm signing out. Bye-bye.